"This marriage is over, and I am done pretending around your parents," she said while slamming her fork down. "I am Graham, a systems engineer in Portland, and my wife of 5 years. Marissa is a freelance interior designer. We don't have kids. My parents live nearby, and we have had this tradition of Sunday dinners at their place since we moved here. The past couple of months, Marissa has been increasingly snippy about these dinners. First, just sighing when I would remind her it was Sunday, then finding excuses not to go: headaches, deadlines, being too tired. When I would ask what was wrong, she had just say nothing. "I am just tired," or "it is fine." I suggested skipping a few weeks, but she insisted I should still go, saying they are your family. You should see them. Last Sunday started like any other dinner. Mom made pot roast. Dad opened some wine. We were having normal conversation about work, neighborhood stuff, nothing controversial. Then Mom casually asks, "For Thanksgiving, are you thinking of staying in Portland or coming to Bend with us?" I will never forget what happened next. Marissa slammed her fork down so hard a piece of potato flew off her plate. Her eyes watering, she shouted, "I have had enough. Your family is suffocating and toxic. I want a divorce." The silence was deafening. My dad put his spoon down and stared at his plate. Mom's hand froze halfway to her wine glass. I couldn't process what was happening for a few seconds. I don't know what came over me. I have never been confrontational usually. I am smoothing things over. That has been an issue in our marriage. Marissa often said I needed to grow a spine with difficult people, but something snapped. Maybe it was years of swallowing my feelings, of watching her subtle eye rolls when my mom talked, of making excuses for her increasingly frequent absences. Maybe it was realizing she had chosen the most vulnerable setting in front of my parents, during a family meal, to detonate our marriage. Without saying a word, I called Tom, a lawyer friend who had helped with our house closing. I had saved his number months ago, after a bad argument where Marissa had threatened to leave. I never told her I had done that. It felt like admitting defeat, but some part of me had been preparing for this moment. I put the phone on speaker right there at the dinner table. "Tom, I need to start divorce proceedings. Can you send over the paperwork tonight?" Marissa's face went from angry red to ghost white. She stammered, but I just held up my hand while Tom confirmed he would email everything over. That night was chaos. After we got home, Marissa cycled between apologizing, crying, and sudden anger. "Are you seriously punishing me for being honest?" She sent me about 40 texts after I moved to the hotel, ranging from "please, talk to me" to "this is what I meant about your family controlling everything." I signed the paperwork the next morning and sent it back to Tom. I am staying at an extended stay hotel now. Her family has been calling non-stop and posting vague stuff on social media about supporting Marissa through this difficult time. She even went to my parents' house to apologize, which feels manipulative. Yesterday, she showed up at the hotel parking lot as I was coming back from work. I don't know how she found me, probably through a mutual friend. She was crying, saying she didn't mean it, that she was just stressed about work. But all I can think is, either she truly hates my family and just finally said what she has been thinking for years, or she deliberately chose to hurt me in the most public, painful way possible. Either way, how do we come back from that? I don't know what I am asking here. I guess I am just in shock. Did I overreact? Part of me feels like I should have tried to talk it through, but another part feels like this was the final straw. Update 1. It has been almost 2 weeks since the dinner incident. A lot has happened, and none of it has convinced me that I made the wrong call. In fact, everything since then has only confirmed that something fundamental is broken here. Several of you asked for more details about those text messages I mentioned. Looking back at them now with some emotional distance, I can see patterns I was too shocked to fully process at the time. I decided to analyze the almost 40 texts she sent that night, and the breakdown was eye-opening. About 15 messages were apologies, but most ended with some form of statement-shifting blame. Another 8 directly accused me or my family of being controlling or cold. Then there were 6 about how much she was suffering with phrases, like "I cannot stop crying and I haven't eaten all day." The rest were various attempts to make me respond, questions, demands, or vague threats about decisions being made without me. The manipulation was clearer than ever when I reviewed them all together. What struck me most was the escalation. The first hour was mostly apologies. By hour 2, she was making accusations. By hour 3, she was alternating between "I will do anything to fix this" and "you are being cruel right now." The emotional manipulation was so transparent when looking at it all laid out chronologically. I shared some of these with my therapist, who pointed out how the messages were designed to provoke a response, rather than express genuine remorse. "Notice how she never once acknowledges your parents' feelings in this situation," my therapist said. "The perhaps she caused other." The next morning, I got a call from my mom. Apparently, Marissa had shown up at their house in tears, begging for their forgiveness, and asking them to convince me to come home. Mom said they told her they loved her but that this was between us. Dad didn't even come out of his study while she was there. 3 days after the dinner, Marissa's sister posted a long, vague Facebook rant about certain families who think they are better than everyone, and how some people sacrifice years of their life, only to be thrown away over one honest moment. Several of her friends commented with heart emojis and "stay strong" messages. I blocked them all. Meanwhile, Tom, my lawyer, explained that Oregon is a no-fault divorce state, so things should be relatively straightforward. We don't have kids, own one house together that we bought 3 years ago, and have separate retirement accounts. Tom suggested trying mediation before going to court. Marissa has hired her own lawyer now, a referral from one of her clients. Last Friday, I got an email outlining her initial requests. She wants 6 months of alimony despite her making comparable income to me. 65% equity in the house. She claims she did more work renovating it, and $5,000 for emotional distress. Reading these demands, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. This was the woman who once proudly talked about her financial independence when we first started dating. My response, through Tom, was simple. 50/50ths split on all assets, as per Oregon law. No alimony, no additional payments. Everything documented and transparent. The hotel was getting expensive, so I found a short-term furnished rental near my office. As I was moving my essential stuff from our house, we arranged a time when Marissa would be out. I found a journal she had been keeping. I didn't read it. That felt wrong. But I noticed it was new, started only about 4 months ago. My coworkers have been surprisingly supportive through all this. I told my boss what was happening, thinking I might need some personal days. He has given me flexibility with my schedule for lawyer meetings and house stuff without making a big deal of it. Living in a sterile extended stay hotel room gives you a lot of time to think. I have been replaying our relationship in my mind, looking for signs I missed. There were little things. How she would tense up when my phone showed Mom calling. How she would make subtle digs at my parents' house or neighborhood. When we first got married, she was the one who suggested Sunday dinners. "Family is important," she had said. I keep wondering when that changed, or if it was always a performance. When I went to get clothes from our house, I discovered Marissa had rearranged the furniture. Our wedding photos were gone, yet there were fresh flowers on the dining table, like she was both erasing and preserving our life simultaneously. This contradiction hit me hard. How could someone remove traces of our marriage while desperately texting me to come home? The worst part was running into her younger brother at the grocery store. He cornered me by the produce section, saying their whole family was worried about Marissa. "She is barely eating, man. She made one mistake." When I didn't engage, he got hostile. "You think you are too good for second chances? This is cold, even for you." A stranger nearby gave me a sympathetic look. I just grabbed my stuff and left. Last night, she showed up at my rental place. Again, no idea how she found the address. She was calmer this time, asking if we could talk. I agreed to a short conversation in the building's lobby. "I have been in therapy," she said. "I have realized I have some unresolved issues with my own family that I have been projecting onto your parents." I asked why she never mentioned these feelings before exploding at dinner. "I didn't know how to bring it up without hurting you," she said. "I love you, and I think we can work through this. But here is the thing. Reddit, I don't think I want to work through this anymore." Something broke in me that night. The way she looked at my parents when she said those words, there was real hatred there. And the way she has been swinging between contrition and accusation since then feels manipulative. The more distance I get, the more I realize there has been a pattern of this. Moments of tension followed by making me feel like I am overreacting, followed by me apologizing for being too sensitive. I am exhausted just thinking about going back to that. The mediation session is scheduled for next week. Tom thinks we can wrap this up quickly if she is reasonable. If not, we are prepared for court. Update 2. The mediation session was yesterday, and it was one of the longest 3 hours of my life. We met at a neutral law office downtown. Marissa came with her lawyer and a binder full of papers. I came with Tom and our financial documentation. The mediator was a former family court judge, with a no-nonsense attitude I appreciated. Things started tensely but civil. The mediator explained the process and asked us each to state our desired outcomes. Tom presented our position, 50-50th split on all assets, no ongoing financial obligations between parties. Simple, clean break. Marissa's lawyer spent nearly 20 minutes arguing why she deserved additional compensation. He claimed she had contributed sweat equity to our home renovations. Partly true, we both put in the work. He also insisted her career had suffered because she prioritized our relationship. False. Her business had grown every year. His final point was that she would face social hardship due to the divorce, as if I somehow wouldn't. When the mediator asked for documentation of these claims, things got interesting. Marissa had printouts of text messages where I had praised her design choices for the house, photos of her working on renovation projects, and a handwritten timeline of our relationship that emphasized her sacrifices. What she didn't have was financial evidence that she had contributed more than 50% to our assets, or that her career had suffered. In fact, when Tom presented our tax returns showing her increasing income over the past 3 years, her lawyer looked visibly uncomfortable. At one point, Marissa started crying, saying this wasn't about money but about feeling discarded after years of supporting me. The mediator handed her a tissue but remained focused on the financial aspects. I could tell the mediator had seen this scenario play out hundreds of times. There was a particularly tense moment when Marissa's lawyer brought up a weekend trip I had taken with colleagues last year. Mr. Graham prioritized work relationships over quality time with my client, he said, presenting it as evidence that I hadn't been fully invested in the marriage. Tom immediately objected, pointing out that the trip was an annual company retreat that predated our relationship, and Marissa had never expressed any issue with it before. The mediator agreed this was irrelevant. The most surprising moment came when Marissa's lawyer suggested I had been emotionally unavailable. Tom calmly pulled out printed screenshots of dozens of loving, supportive text messages I would sent Marissa over the past year, particularly when she was stressed about client deadlines. Marissa looked away when they were presented. About halfway through, we took a break. In the hallway, Tom told me he thought they were posturing but didn't have a strong position. Stay calm. Stick to facts. Let her emotions work against her, he advised. When we resumed, the mediator focused on the house. We had bought it for $420,000 3 years ago, and recent comps put it around $480,000. Now, after paying off the mortgage and closing costs, we had each get about $40,000, if split equally. Marissa's lawyer pushed for the 65-35 split again, arguing that Marissa's design expertise had increased the home's value. Tom countered with screenshots from Marissa's professional Instagram, where she had posted about the joy of renovating my own home with my husband, clearly stating it was a joint project. By hour 3, Marissa was visibly frustrated. The mediator kept steering the conversation back to documentable facts rather than emotional claims. Finally, her lawyer asked for a private consultation with the mediator. When they returned, her lawyer proposed a new offer, 55-45 split on the house, about $2,000 more to Marissa, no alimony, no additional payments. Tom looked at me, and I nodded. It wasn't worth fighting over $2,000 to drag this out longer. We signed the preliminary agreement. The house will be listed next week, and we will finalize the divorce once it sells. As we were leaving, Marissa caught up with me in the parking lot. She looked drained. "Are you okay just throwing everything away like this?" she asked. I looked at her for a long moment before answering. "I am better than I would be staying." I got in my car and drove away. I didn't look back to see her reaction. On the way home, Tom called to congratulate me on staying calm. He said divorces rarely go this smoothly, and that we should have everything wrapped up within a month or two. I should feel relieved, but mostly I just feel tired. 5 years of marriage ending with a folder of documents and a signature. It doesn't seem real yet. One surprising thing, my parents have been amazing through all this. They haven't pushed for details or tried to vilify Marissa. Dad just said, "We trust your judgment." Son and Mom has been dropping off meals at my rental. Sunday dinners have resumed, and for the first time in months, they don't feel tense. Final update. It has been just over 5 weeks since my last update, and I am writing this from my new apartment near Forest Park. The divorce is officially final as of yesterday. Everything wrapped up more quickly than expected. Our house sold within a week of listing. We got $485,000, which after paying off the mortgage and closing costs, left us each with about $42,000. The extra $2,000 I agreed to give Marissa in the mediation barely seemed to matter in the end. We sat in different areas of the law office waiting room, not making eye contact. When it was time to sign, we moved mechanically through the documents. As we were leaving, Marissa handed me a sealed envelope and asked me not to open it until I got home. I almost threw it away, but curiosity won out. It was a handwritten letter apologizing for everything. Not making excuses. Just acknowledging the hurt she had caused. The last line has stuck with me. I hope someday you will remember that we had good years too, even if the ending erased them. I don't know if I am ready to remember the good parts yet, but maybe someday. My new apartment is nothing special. 1 bedroom, small balcony with a distant view of the park. But it is mine. And there is something freeing about having a space that is just mine again. I have been getting up early to hike in the park before work. Something about the quiet mornings has been healing. Sunday dinners with my parents have continued. Last weekend was the first time we didn't talk about the situation at all. Just normal conversation about Dad's garden, Mom's book club, my new hiking routes. For the first time in years, I realized how much tension I had been carrying into those dinners. Always monitoring Marissa's mood, worrying about what might set her off. The most unexpected development. I have started seeing someone. Era is a nurse I met through a friend's barbecue. It is very casual and slow-moving, which is exactly what I need right now. She is easy to be around, doesn't require emotional acrobatics. We are just enjoying simple things, trying new restaurants, watching bad movies, talking about nothing important. As for Marissa, I heard through mutual friends that she took a design contract in Seattle and is living there temporarily. Her Instagram shows her looking happy, focused on work. I hope she is happy. Despite everything, I don't wish her ill. This will be my final update. Life goes on, and mine is starting to feel like my own again. Edit. Thank you all for the kind words and support throughout this whole journey. To answer some common questions, yes, I did give Marissa's letter to my therapist to discuss. And no, I don't plan to respond to it. And for those asking if I have forgiven her, I don't think it is about forgiveness exactly. I am just trying to understand what happened as part of my story without letting it define everything going forward.